All right, welcome everyone. Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Revolutionary Girl Utena, episode 22. Okay, so we got another Nanami episode last episode, but that means we're definitely not getting one this episode. But we also went through a duel with a side character that we didn't even really know existed before the previous episode.
That then set up some things with Toga, but also kind of Anthe.
So what I'm thinking is either we get that same treatment with another character, or we've officially, that's like the end cap for all of the characters.
We've ran out of
we've absolutely gone through them all, and so now we circle back and get an Anthe episode.
I think you're divining, senses or what have you. You're dowsing whatever mechanism you
They've
have
been
inside.
scaring you lately, so
it's been too damn good. So I have to accept it as fact at this point. I kind of feel like it's almost a bit obvious though with this case that it will be an Anthe episode because of the very scary just one-liner that she dropped to what did you call Utena?
Herbo. I got that off the Discord. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Which is
Utena just like
genius.
Yeah. What'd you say? Oh, okay, odd.
Utena
I definitely don't need to be
bow,
concerned by it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But I want an Anthe episode. I've wanted an Anthe episode for a while now, and given how many things have tangentially connected to Anthe, giving us one now would be great. But I feel like we'd need like an Anthe arc if we're gonna
we would need an Anthe arc
focus stuff at this point in time.
But also it wouldn't be entirely a happy thing. It'd be kind of bittersweet because then that would mean that if it's an Anthe episode, it'd also probably be an Akio episode.
It should be an Utena episode probably as well.
Sure, there you go. That's a nice way to put a positive spin on it.
Yeah. But y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
Oh shit!
We might just get an Akio episode.
Ooh. Okay. Because we've gone through all the other challengers.
Ooh.
All right. I like it.
I do need to know this connection.
Yeah.
Why have the
Let's go.
Yeah, case in point, yes. Mickey is me. Mickey is me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and the fact that they could strike using anyone. He's on protect Anthe duty. Oh my god.
Oh no.
The way he's holding him like that.
What the fuck?
Choo-choo needed to get away from him.
Yeah. He choo-chooed the fuck out of there.
Mousetrap. I set. Not trying to hide it, are you?
No, tell it to us. No, please. Please. But why?
Yeah.
Nemuro 教授という人がいてね。ここで火事があって、その人の生徒たちが閉じ込められて焼け死んだそうです。この根室記念館はその後改装されたものです。でも昔のことですよ。お邪魔します。
So if it's not relevant, why bring it up?
I've got something goofy to say. I say it for the discussion, but
both Akio and Anthe are missing.
Hello there.
あんたとは取引をしただけだ。命令を聞く筋合いはない。
そう、これは契約さ。あの時以来のね。
Okay, so I don't think we're getting answers this episode. I think we're getting more questions.
Yeah.
教授。なんだい？
雪のことですよ、教授。
教授はやめてくれ。年は変わらないんだ。
Wow.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was really his Darth Plagueis the Wise talk earlier.
ここまで秘密主義だとは思いませんでした。まるで僕たちは部品扱いですね。
それは承知で学園と契約したんだ。
Oh.
隣のセクションの研究内容がわからないなんて。噂では世界を革命する力であるとか、永遠を手に入れるための研究であると言われてますね。
Well, alright.
教えてもらえませんか？
君たちがみんな左の薬指にしているその指輪は何だい？
特に
Oh,
わかりま
these.
せん。
Yeah,
最近流行ってるんですよ。
nothing at all.
天才
Okay.
の教授か。本当に彼は今回の内容を知らないんだ。
そのようだ。
And he didn't get a ring.
あの方がおっしゃっていた。
気取らせとけばいいさ。電子計算機みたいな男だ。せいぜい利用すればいい。
Maybe they trapped Nemuro in with them, you know?
Yeah.
成り行きで携わったあれが進まないの。僕はどうでもいい。
Oh, okay.
私は理事会より派遣されました。今回の監察官を務めます。
Wouldn't he be in like middle school right now?
Well, no, there's something supernatural going on at play here because
この辺は道が悪いから。
the way his brain works. Nice, nice. Yeah, these are some of the things that.
Yeah, or in the elevator.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
わざわざ家にまで呼んで
Yeah, yeah.
少しこす
This is cool. That's like a perspective thing, probably for the way his brain kind of constantly takes in tons of information.
なぜこの仕事に携わったのですか？
Okay.
純粋なビジネスです。
Money?
すでに契約以上の仕事はこなしてると思いますがね。
Wanna know
100名の
why?
優秀な少年たちが大鳥学園に集められ、これに従事している。彼
Whoa.
らの研究目的が世界を革命する力、
Whoa.
永遠を手に入れるためのものだと噂している。
Okay, okay. Okay, I think I've got
永
it.
遠を手に入れようなんて。
Yeah, yeah, because you'd have to have some of it tied to something that distorts time or human aging because of the fact that he's so old, right? So old. But
少し失礼します。
it has to tie back into the themes of the show.
何をしてるの？今日はずっと寝てるようにって言われたでしょ？うん。でもちょっとバラが気になって。すぐに。
Oh.
あとちょっと。
Oh shit. This is Mamiya.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
嫌いなの。
Whoa.
おとなしく寝てないからでしょ。姉さんの注射が好きなんだ。バカ言わないで。嫌な子ね。あの子のためなんです。これに参加したのは。
Oh, not for. Oh, okay, cool. From that perspective. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yep. Right. For life. Yep. That makes sense. Yep.
でもあれが成功すれば。
Mm-hmm.
成功しても弟さんの病が治るわけじゃない。
でも永遠を手に入れてやれるかも。
人の涙を見たのは初めてのような気がして。
あなた
Wow.
誰か大切な人がいます。
Yeah.
それとも天才と呼ばれるような人は他人
Right. Because you have to tie this into love as well. So,
そうですね。
yeah, it's not you, but. Oh, okay.
今日まではそうでした。
最近根室教授は仕事熱心だね。
理事会から監察官が派遣されたろう。
まさに彼女は適任だったわけだ。
まったくあの方のやることには無駄がないね。
じゃあ教授は結局こいつの内容は知らないのか。
Oh, fuck.
今日は少し気分がいいんです。
So he finds out what happens, tries to burn it all down,
Sure.
but still affects him. Something happens to him with that. He attains immortality, or what I think is more likely.
邪魔したね。また来るよ。
根室教授、
Mm-hmm.
あなたが僕を気にかけてくださってること、ちゃんとお姉さんに言っておきますから。
Oof. I hope we get like a part 2 to this episode. Uh-huh.
どうしても方程式が解けませんか？
No way. No way.
ここは部外者は立ち入り禁止だ。
No
部
way.
外者はいないよ。君以外はね。
Oh shit.
それが世界を革命するための第一歩だ。それで全てが動き始める。
バカな。 こんなことを実行できるものか。みんながはめてる指輪じゃないか。
バラの刻印
Oh shit.
僕の
Burn
You've
them
been
all.
you've been looking for logic, and yet you do
We
not
need a blood
realize.
sacrifice.
Yeah,
今
exactly.
僕と契約している
Oh my god.
契約ってなんだ。
このバラの刻印は預けておく。永遠が欲しくなったら君の指に飾りたまえ。君は世界を革命するしかないだろう。君の進む道は用意してある。
Wow. So he's just been doing an imitation this entire time.
Uh-huh. You gotta follow one of them. Yeah. Oh shit.
Wait, so that wasn't Akio talking to him?
Shit. And then that just...
Just like that.
Was it not him?
本当なの？あなたがやったの？
Oh.
あなたの仕業なの？なぜ？
So did he actually do that, or did he just take the fall?
彼らは契約していたんだ。古代の生物が死んで、石油や石炭のような地下燃料が残った。そういう犠牲がなければ、今のエネルギー文明はなかった。そういう犠牲は常に要求される。
何を言ってるの？
これが君の進めている仕事の第一歩だ。やがて、この学園から永遠への道を開くための。
Oh shit.
根室さん。
間宮君のやったことは正しい。僕も永遠をこの手にしてみたくなった。
So this was part of what Akio wanted.
Yeah.
Because he gave him instructions. He has the ring. So is the path to eternity the dueling and the castle and...
Maybe? Probably?
Because the thing I feel like that this is not connected enough to is the idea of, well, the kind of the love theme of the story.
Right.
But if you want to be with someone forever, there's the love theme, maybe. Like, way.
Yeah, that's her, but just way later.
できた。科学の粋を集めて作ったこのロボットだ。ロボットは年取らない。ロボットは
Wow.
Uh-huh.
お猿捕まえる。いいか、正体不明の奴らの言いなりになることはないんだ。
でも仕方ありません。私はバラの花嫁ですから。
バカ。自分のことを大事にしない奴が僕は
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
時子。
彼もあなたと同じで、あれから少しも年を取らないのね。
学園という庭にいる限り、人は大人にならないのさ。
Whoa. Yeah. Okay.
普通の人生を送ってる。
夫は優しい人よ。よくしてくれるわ。
今日は何しに？
弟の間宮の墓参りに来たの。
Oh, shit.
ねえ、あなただって知ってるでしょ。実を結ぶために花は散るのよ。
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Every time it's plucked, it dies. But you can replant a plant. If you get it with the right, like, kind of essence of its death, you know? Like, they can leave behind the essence that's needed to replant them. All right, Utena, whose story is this anymore? We're going all the way into prequel shit, and
Is Bakano? Is that you? Like, why are immortals in here?
We barely even knew Soji or Mamiya, and now we're like, oh, so now consider the actual like implications of this episode and just try to make sense of it. Because we could, or we could just kind of go, you know, I feel like they're gonna give us more to kind of follow up with this in the next episode. Just put the next one in. Let's go.
I mean, yeah, because there were things that were specifically not shown in this episode,
yes,
which is weird because the episode on its own is ambiguous enough. There's enough mystery boxes and questions and stuff that are asked by this episode that you don't need to also leave part of the story out, right? Like that whole gap of time from Soji sees Akio and the lady kissing. Okay, he doesn't like that, probably goes and puts the ring back on. Somehow that turns into Mamiya then being the one that burns the place down.
Or, Mamiya in cahoots with Soji deciding to burn the place down.
Right, so whatever decisions that were made there, it's like, okay, we'll have to figure that out. But then also this episode just makes us think, wait a minute, hang on, all those times that that Mamiya and Soji were talking, was that actually in the present time, or was that like way back when? Except, they did talk about Anthy and like desiring to kill her because she's the Rose Bride, but like, we haven't, like, is the dude that's frozen in stasis, is that actually just Mamiya grown up because he wasn't immortal? And Soji, the reason why he's always by himself when he brings the people down there and is like, you must revolutionize the world, because he's actually been by himself this entire time? Has he just been talking to himself when he talks to Mamiya those times, right? Like...
I think all the stuff you're saying is, like, got a decent chance of being right, because the thing that always wigged me out about Mamiya is the fact that Mamiya seems to be like a picture-perfect boy version of Anthy.
Right.
And yet, Mamiya was not shown like just casually interacting with people in the school.
Nope.
In the present.
No.
Like, Mamiya just seemed to be this, like, almost this spirit guide that was just kind of alongside Soji in these metaphysical spaces where we would have these conversations about what their goals are.
Yeah.
And yet, because of the close connection, the main thing that I kind of connected with that was that they had some kind of special relationship. They had some kind of love or care, or like this ride or die kind of, we're going to take this
Clyde,
all. Yeah, exactly. Fuck the world. We're going to take it all the way to the end. And that's engaging, but it was like, okay, I'm then grasping at straws for anything that could be Mamiya related, like because they're the piece of this whole thing that feels off. Like Soji feels like just I'm gonna do what it takes kind of person, right? But we don't know Mamiya. Like we don't.
We don't. Like to the point that I believe in one of the previous episodes discussions, like when Mamiya was like first shown, we were like, wait, is this potentially a Johan situation where it's Anthy? And she's
playing both sides.
She's just playing both sides somehow.
Yeah. I don't think so.
We didn't. No. Yeah, I think so because the thing that's weird about this, with all the parallels, because it could just be thematic parallels. That could be all that it is. But with as weird of a show as this is, with immortality and shit like that, it could always be literal, right? And yet they specifically say when no one else is around, we want to kill the Rose Bride Anthy, right? So, like how do those get reconciled? So, is Mamiya like the third sibling, like the secret other older brother, or like?
So I think I think it's a little bit of a situation where we can break this down into archetypes and we can actually figure out a little bit more as to how this works here. Because from one hand, we have a character that's brought in as kind of the outsider, as was kind of used in a verbiage sense by Akio in this episode when he made the offer for the contract with Soji. Soji is the person that didn't fit in this situation and came in and was like, oh, this is what's going on here.
Yeah.
But he didn't really understand, and all the boys were kind of always whispering behind his back of, does he actually know? Does he actually know what's going on here? So in that instance, Soji was the main character of a different story.
Well, and the fact that he has
the prequel story,
the fact that he has a pink tint to his hair, even though it's primarily more of like that white genius, type. Does feel a bit on the nose, given that the even Soji is aware of the parallel between himself and Utena and Mamiya and Anthy, right? Like not as just like a literal world mechanic type stuff, but in the seeing them in the garden, that takes me back.
Back. Yeah.
And the thing that Utena said is exactly what not Mamiya, but the lady said to me.
The lady. Yeah. We didn't get her name, but we can get that. We can get that as we're going back through the episode here. But the idea then that Soji comes in is the genius, kind of the a credit to his name, basically coming in with all this accolades. But the main thing that we focus on as in his archetype is that he's actually more of a fish out of water than actually kind of knowing what to do. He doesn't solve whatever the big problem is.
Right. Akio comes in and says, hey, you gotta take this ballot.
Like, right. Basically, yeah, coming in like a dark genie, coming in and being like,
there needs to be
Do you want to wish? Do you want to wish? Well, then you need to bind yourself to me. That's where things go from the, hey, he's a protagonist. He's got the whole, like, I'm going to do the thing. The thing is impossible because he's wishing for eternity, basically.
Yep.
Akio comes in and goes, no, it's very possible.
You just need to think outside the box.
You need to do some.
You need to revolutionize your world.
Exactly. So at that point, Soji abandons the role of the protagonist, basically. He throws aside the, I'm going to be the one that will just do the thing with my intellect and stuff. He turns to rituals and weird shit.
And he does that like immediately after Akio suggests it, because he also sees Akio kissing the lady that he likes, and it's like, oh, hey, wait a minute. I'm no genius here, but it seems like Akio might have set that up.
Right. But I want to throw out a thing here that I don't think it's some kind of simple jealousy. I really don't. I think
because we didn't see the conversation that led to Mamiya burning the school down. Yeah.
I think it's the idea that he is still doing this, at least he believes so, that he's doing this for Mamiya's sake.
Right. I mean, that is very much shown in their conversations.
Right.
Regardless of when those conversations happened. Although, because I believe in those conversations, they did specifically talk about Anthi. I think those conversations did actually still happen.
Right.
But, in the current time.
Right. But from that situation, the archetypes actually get very simple. We have Soji and basically people connected to Soji that are kind of giving him that little bit of contextual relevance to the general story. But then Akio is just sitting here isolated as this pure antagonist.
Yeah.
There is nothing attaching him to any of this other than the deal and the contract, and then the fact that in this main story, they're all the same.
Yep.
There's nothing that's changed about these two specifically. And yet there's nothing that on the surface shows that why Akio should be the same. Whereas with Soji, if he's done special shit, it makes sense that there should be some kind of thing that he did gain through this whole thing.
Theoretically, Akio just did that in a previous iteration.
But that's
right, because if Soji was able to do it because of a contract with Akio, then there you go. You can assume that if Soji got some special kickback from the deal, Akio has already had that or got that as well.
But do you realize what that means then? That Akio is even older. He is more before even Soji, who feels like a protagonist from another thing coming in.
And if that's the case, then he's probably not Anthi's brother.
No, or
Anthi has been around for a long time as well.
Yeah.
And I will say there is the possibility because of the role that Anthi has at the school as the Rose Bride.
Right.
It's a very archetypal kind of situation, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up doing something where Anthi is also timeless, right? And maybe has been there for a long time.
But never left the school.
Right, yeah, never left the school. But because she's so withdrawn from everybody, no one necessarily notices, right? It's just sort of like,
just tend the garden.
Yep. Once they stop going to the school, they stop seeing Anthi. And they weren't closely connected to her, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
That's just she actually isn't immortal, but the whole thing of he's my brother, that's the story that we use, and he's actually like her dad or something that But I mean, who knows?
Okay, so given what this episode brought for us as far as like questions.
Yeah.
We know now that the idea of revolutionizing the world is potentially a mechanism by which people were using to get to eternity or some kind of timeless stasis or potentially even reincarnation. That whole side of things there, those are two separate things. So the idea of a revolutionizing the world is in of itself still kept rather vague. This, I would say, makes sense from the standpoint of story-wise. We now have two parallel stories. In some ways, Utena's existence is a is a form of revolutionizing the world of the school. She comes in, she wears the different uniform.
Right.
She's got like the kind of the gumption, the spunk, everything, the little bit of the, But then she ends up getting kind of manipulated into this duel situation, which then flips the entire script on basically everything.
Oh, right. I've remembered a couple things that we've gotten over the course of this show that I think clear some things up of what we've been talking about. So one, Frozen Prince, no, it's not Mamiya. Mamiya's still up. The Frozen Prince is just the manifested power of Dios or whatever, of the prince, basically just at rest within the place, right? It's not being used.
Right. It is probably something connected to the idea of eternity in some way.
Yeah, right. It's representative of that, but not an actual person, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is that when Akio was originally introduced, way the
back.
recap episode, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
We checked his voice to match it up with when Toga got the call from End of the World.
Right.
And I believe, if I remember correctly, we found that it did match up. And so our original interpretation of Akio is, this is End of the World. Right. So that is something that is still potentially the case. And that brings relevance to the conversation that the student council members had at the beginning of the episode, because they were talking about what's the deal with End of the World. I don't remember the exact details of what they were saying, but that's something that could be really good to keep in mind, given that this episode is doing so much like flip the table, recontextualizing of the things that we have known up until now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. The fact that it also starts with Anthe
watering the roses. Yeah.
Spot there. Yeah, just who are these people? They trick ordinance students attacking Unchin and Juju. They seem irritated. It's because they targeted friends and even your dear Toga. We've figured that out here. We have a lead. I thought the Rose Crest could only be possessed by those chosen by End of the World. End of the World must be moving in the shadows.
And if End of the World is Akio, then okay.
Yeah. It's obvious whoever it is has
End of the World's backing. Right.
Okay, so it's obvious is that...
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Right. So that's basically... whoever it is on this campus. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So
they kind of come to... They kind of just recap essentially the stuff that we mostly know.
But the fact that they're starting to piece it together is good for us to find out. But so basically, yes, Soji is very much is on this campus and is working with End of the World's approval, because otherwise, he wouldn't that was the contract that was made. That's how he has the rings and can do all of this stuff, right? Even if maybe he's going a bit rogue now, but he doesn't have to be.
So I want to bring up the idea that I don't believe that Soji is 100% in league with Akio.
Okay.
I don't.
Even if Akio is still pulling the strings and manipulating him, Soji doesn't believe that that's what's happening?
No. I think it's the whole thing of I have to do this. When you're presented with something that basically has I flip everything about who I am after seeing this, it's okay, I now understand the dynamic here. Something about Soji was enlightened after reading that contract and was like, oh, cool. Well, then there's no question I do this.
Yep.
But the idea that in the present, there's this kind of strife between the two of them here. They have a little bit of a meeting to parallel the actual time they signed the contract here.
Yeah.
Or not signed the contract, just, made the contract. And then you kind of look for all the moments where it's showing these are the things that point toward. Oh, that's fun. Those hands
the pointing, because that was one of the other things I thought, with the hands pointing at the things in this episode, because it was a Soji perspective episode. Who's to say whether the hands are something that is Soji's observations, or if it's something that is the creator, kind of drawing the audience's attention to certain things.
Right. So always. I would say kind of consider Akio from the perspective of being an antagonist.
Right.
But if Soji is basically a warlock of his patron, Akio, he gets the missives from him and goes, well, we just made a deal. I have no reason to obey your orders. Yes, that's been our contract ever since that time. Still wearing the ring, though.
It's interesting that he said, we just made a deal. Ever since I made like we made the contract, like ever since that time, like we just made a deal. It was recent. It was also a while ago. So either there's multiple deals or...
We is not necessarily encompassing him and Akio. We is just whoever is referred to potentially that is on the paper that he just handed to him.
Oh, okay, sure, that's true. That's true.
So Soji just has to be referring to himself and another person.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking
other
it was
person
like...
doesn't have to be Akio.
Well, so the thing that it totally doesn't have to. What I was thinking it might be getting at is the idea that it's since we're both immortal, time doesn't really have much meaning for us, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like this letter thing is to kind of tie these images back to each other.
Oh.
So I think there's a possibility that it's this is Soji's machinations actually working here.
Okay.
And it's oh, cool, you're coming to me now?
Yeah,
Great. Yeah. Too late.
Right.
I already made a deal.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I like it.
Get fucked. I'm not following your orders anymore. And then Akio just kind of is like, well, yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things that I thought was kind of interesting with some of the imagery here. So there were a fair few bits where they talked about like the roses and things like that and the differences between them and whatnot. And they said for the black roses that it was specifically that they were dried up. That was not what I would have expected, for them. So maybe it's just the idea of like the rose that, the flower that is wilted, but then we had the black rose that's down in the place, right, is always suspended above water. But then also at certain points, like in the beginning of the episode when him and Akio were having the conversation, we saw droplets of liquid falling down either onto the rose or like into the water. And they were like sparkling and stuff, made me think of like maybe tears. So don't see any literal connections, but that feels thematically relevant.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. The introduction to a character is always one of the most important parts for getting at what the character is about.
Sure.
So Soji, in this moment of like thinking about the past with Akio, then gets thrown back into the point where he entered the building. And he's in a conversation with a student who comments about the snow never vanishing, which maybe hints at the whole stasis thing that's going on with the school.
Yeah.
But the idea of him being complimented as a genius, and then them talking about the secrecy of the school, they treat us like parts in a machine. And then he goes, well, that was in the contract we made with the school.
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't Akio like on the school faculty?
Well, that's the thing, is that maybe this was already like something that was in place, is the idea that Akio is so old or so intrinsically tied to the nature of the school that anytime someone enters into the grounds, anytime enters into the deal there, he's like, this is my domain. Well, you are now my pawns. You are now all mine.
You know what else is kind of fucked about all this?
What?
What was one of the things that we got about Akio when we were introduced to him? Not the I'm fucking my sister or whatever's going on there, but it's the I'm engaged to be married to a lady whose family is in a position of power.
Right.
If you're immortal and you are kind of
immortal or immortal.
If you are immortal and you are kept in this kind of state where it's like, yes, you're young and and all that stuff, you could just do like marriage ladder hopping over the course of centuries.
Yes.
And just keep doing that because, eventually people would just sort of stop remembering you. You get rid of your, partner or whatever. Like, number of things.
I also think that could be something even more fucked with this situation, which is that Akio is doing something intentionally, specifically to keep people in this school to be almost his prey that are young, that he'll then essentially feed off of, and as he instigates these duels, which then have people getting put into caskets that get dumped into the fire of this original fire or whatever. There's some time muckery stuff. The first flame or what have you. Then it's they're being like offered as sacrifices to him there, because the whole we made a big altar. The ancient beings that we then fuel for fossilized fuel and stuff like that. That's what was needed here. So maybe the 100 deaths is not actually some literal mechanical thing. It's just you then just granted yourself 100 lives by the transmutive alchemical
right. You absorbed their souls or whatever, and now they're fueling you, or they were fueling Soji, but like Akio has done other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's all kinds of weird shit. Yeah.
And there's this other bit here where he actually questions, and this is one of the things he does is his first question. What's with the rings? And he lies. No, they're just fashionable. What the fact that a guy lied about it
and this is like,
so omega sus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is not like particular established character.
No.
The idea is this is just rando at the school.
Yeah.
That has a ring. Okay. Also, I gotta say, all of the mechanical, supernatural, fantastical things that were introduced in this episode, a lot of them took, make a lot of sense with regards to Akio's, very, very sus perspectives and takes on things. But, also just add a whole other layer of, oh God. But
Tokiko, that was her name. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, talking about the job, why he's doing this. Okay, we've assembled 100 extraordinary boys here at Otori Academy, and they're proceeding with the project. They spread rumors that the research is to revolutionize the world, that it will allow them to attain eternity. So that's not necessarily, not even necessarily what's actually, going on.
Nope.
That's what they've been convinced to do, probably by Akio.
Right.
But,
yeah, and given that he's getting with her, that's probably one of the angles that he's using to manipulate the situation and make sure that it goes the way he wants. Because she's the essential, like, hands-on management kind of a deal. There was also that point where Akio and Soji ran into each other when he went to go, like, offer him the contract, basically.
Right.
And Soji's like, you're not supposed to be here. And he's like, oh no, the stranger here is you, right? Like, no. You might never have seen me before within the context of this project,
right?
But trust me, I'm not the one who's the outsider,
yeah.
Right? Like, I'm the one at the top with this whole shindig.
Yeah, God. And then the way that he saw Tokiko cry, and he's like, that might be the first time I've ever seen a person cry,
Yeah, that I'm not sure if that was just showcasing the connection that he had with her, and how her crying influenced him way more than other people, and so it's almost like I've never seen someone cry before, or if it's something that is specifically hinting at like his personal past or whatever. I feel like we don't know enough about his upbringing and family dynamic and stuff to like really get as much from that line if it's meant in the literal sense as opposed to the figurative. But also, I thought it was kind of odd that we weren't actually shown Akio's face when he was talking to Soji and like offering him the contract. It was clear that it was him.
I think that shows the power that he has in this situation here.
That he's just like a stranger. He like Soji doesn't know him,
Right. But also just how confident and how powerful he is in this situation, that we only just need to feel his, we don't need to see his expression. We just feel his presence.
We know that it's him. We see that bit of the pink or violet ponytail, and
we know exactly.
Yep.
But then the fact that in the present we see Tokiko
come back and
she's older.
She's older, and she's got like little
age lines.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's not. This hasn't been just like 10 years or something. Like this has been a bit,
right? But now Soji has achieved eternity or immortality, or even not even that. Just the whole, he's killed his heart. He's
absolutely.
He's hit that point where he's never going to be, robots do not feel lonely. Robots,
Well, I also wouldn't be surprised. So, if the way that he attained immortality No, wait, this wouldn't quite work. I was going to say, what if the black rose that was kept in the case was sort of like a Beauty and the Beast type situation, where that was his rose, and he was using that to sort of like assume direct control of himself, and in doing so, like perpetuate his existence beyond, you know, like freeze it in place so that he could keep going. But usually when the rose is implanted, it's like actually stabbed into the heart, so that's probably not it. But
yeah, then we have the bit where Utena is in the episode and talks to Auntie about, hey, you know, you don't have to do what this mysterious guy tells you to. And she's like, well, I'm the Rose Bride, so I have to. And then she's like, you know, I don't know what I hate most are people who don't care about themselves.
Yeah, in that conversation, there was a part of me that wondered if that was like a flashback to like some previous point, and yet I don't remember a conversation like that, and I don't remember there ever being
I think it
a mysterious
here.
person that was talking to sending messages to Auntie.
It happened here for sure, but it's just the idea that we don't know who this mysterious guy is.
Right.
Because on some level, we could assume that it's Soji because of the connection there. But if Soji is in league with Akio, then it doesn't really matter who's sending these things here, because it's the Akio is manipulating a lot of things in like different levels and layers of this. So.
Although one of the things that I got to say that I really appreciate about this episode and how it changed my view of things just over the course of the episode from the beginning to the end is that when Soji makes himself known to Utena at the very beginning, right? And he's saying all of his stuff. It's straight up like Lysanderoth levels of like, oh, you're totally not a bad guy or anything, right? Except if he sees himself as being someone who's fighting against Akio, and Akio is actually the big problem, then that suddenly makes a bit more sense of why he would almost reveal himself to Utena in such a cavalier way.
Well, it's because he's going to duel her.
Well, sure, that could be it.
I mean, that's why the flower's probably picked at the end by Akio. Because that's the flower in their, like, special place. That.
Oh, was it Akio that picked the flower at the end?
Oh, it's clearly Akio, yeah. You can tell, like, and that's after the whole bit of the... So you must know, don't you, that for a plant to bear fruit, flowers have to die? I do. And then...
Yeah, and you've got the... Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, definitely Akio.
So it feels like this is the part one... for setting up the
Soji's
reason
duel.
why Soji will duel.
Right, and then maybe once he gets beaten in the duel, his Akio's hold over him would be broken. Maybe, I don't know. But what okay, so that does shift things up a bit.
It also potentially brings some things into context of we have a deal, meaning like maybe he just made a deal with Utena, you know.
Utena making a deal.
Because see, you're more than welcome to visit. You have your seminar in this building, right? And then and then he tells the story, and in that moment, there's an indeterminate amount of time.
Right. He and his students were burned to death. Well, not exactly.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
So this situation here, it could be the framework for a duel in the next episode.
Sure, and it's the showing the connection that they have to each other. That way, they can actually like have some kind of conversation while the duel's happening, as opposed to just, who the fuck are you?
I also have to be this guy, but this show sometimes makes my brain see imagery that is like just, you don't see what I'm seeing right now.
Yes,
but it's the kind of thing where I'm
the spire of the memorial hall or the school or whatever with the
very phallic shape then presenting itself to the bush of the tree that is directly up for it there. I'm sorry. Utena as a show has so much like imagery of this kind just around.
Yeah, like I would.
But then she goes to see Akio, which is weird.
Well, I mean, anytime that Utena sees Akio, it's like, wait, Utena, why do you need to do that? Like, but you know, yeah, she's like, nah, he's Utena's, or he's Auntie's brother, right? I can totally trust him and rely on him. He says weird stuff that I don't necessarily understand sometimes, but yeah.
But he's going to visit Soji, so
yeah,
but all right. Yeah, this episode kind of hurt my brain. And
see,
now
this is why the Nanami episodes are so important, though, right? You bring the Nanami episode in as that palate cleanser, right before you bring in like the crazy exotic like.
It empties your mind of anything sane, so that you're ready for the insane to come. And just fill it up.
Yep, that's right.
Classic Utena. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out my Persona 5 Royal Let's Play on Twitch. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.